Hi, I'm Alex Beckstedt.
And I'm Jillian Eberline.
Thanks for joining us on the 10-Minute Tack-Up, brought to you by My New Horse. We're going to sit down for a quick, honest chat about all things horse ownership. Hello, everyone. On this episode of the 10-Minute Tack-Up, brought to you by My New Horse, we are going to be chatting about how to build your horse care team, those individuals being your veterinarian, your farrier, or your horse's dentist, chiropractor, shipper if you need one, and so on and so forth, because it is important that you establish those relationships early before you need them. So let's start with the person that I think is the most important on that list, and that is your veterinarian. Because in this day and age, veterinarians are in short supply in many parts of the country, and many won't take emergency calls unless you're an existing client. So it is very important that you establish that relationship with a veterinarian near you before you're in a pinch and have a horse colicking in your field. So, Jillian, how did you go about when you got your horse establishing your team of professionals to help you care for him?
Yeah, so what was important to me was finding a vet who knew the industry I was in and the fact of breed. Like my horse is an appendix. I wanted someone that had a little bit more knowledge and hands-on experience with quarter horses, just because they know what is more normal, as in injecting or not even lameness, stuff like that, but just what the norm is, I feel like, for that breed. Because race horses get different care than quarter horses, and some quarter horses might get different care than warm bloods. So for me, that was kind of important. And being down in Ocala, there was an abundance of vets to choose from, luckily, especially during circuit, since most people come down here. So in my situation, I asked a lot of the people around my barn, who do you use? Why do you use them? And I came up with two different vets. So one that we use more in a pinch or just generic shots and that kind of stuff. And then if we have a lameness concern or anything to that extreme, we call it a different vet. But that second vet is much harder to get out to the farm. So we want to make sure it's something serious that he and his team will come out, and most likely we'll have him look at a few horses to make it worth his time. But you're right, it's really important to make that connection, because I know I can call my first vet and be like, hey, this is going on. He's like, oh, I'm in the area. I'll be there soon. But that's also because of the connection we have and my trainers have with him, and he knows the horses. He's been there since day one with Shiloh and most of the horses in our barns, so we really trust him. But for me, it was word of mouth, trainers' ideas, asking other people from outside of the barn who they use, and asking what qualities they're looking for in the vet. That's just kind of my knowledge of it. So, Alex, for you, how did you pick your vets? Because you had a bunch of horses with all different backgrounds.
Yeah, and I will say the biggest thing for me has always been word of mouth. Whether that's a trainer that I'm working with, other horse owners, even I had a farrier friend. That to me is always been the most effective way for me to make connections with these professionals in the industry. You did bring up a really good point about, trying to find someone who caters to your horse's specific needs if he has one. Like if you've got an older horse with some metabolic issues, or if you have a performance horse and you need somebody who's focused more on sports med, or even there are veterinarians that specialize in repro. I mean, those are important considerations and questions to ask when you're searching for somebody. I do know that the American Association of Equine Practitioners has a really awesome up-to-date directory of equine vets that you can search by your city, state, region. That would probably be the place that I would say to start if you don't already have a network of horse people to ask around for. So that's a great resource there.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I'd say second on my list to establish a relationship with is a farrier. And a farrier, again, just go to the professional association. I'd start there. American Farriers Association also has a database of certified farriers, or word of mouth has always been my go-to there.
Yeah, and I feel so I came from Pennsylvania before I moved down to Florida where my last horse was, and I still talk to that farrier pretty frequently. And although there's so many out there, they do know the best ones in certain areas. Like when I moved down to Ocala, I was like, hey, my horse has a club foot. I'm looking for someone that could correct it as much as possible. I know you can never fully correct it, but someone that kind of has that knowledge. And he sent me a few options, and he was like, here's who I recommend. Here is my top choice, but he's less likely to come if you don't get all the horses to come onto his into his program. So that's what worked for me, and then also our barn just recently changed farriers, and it's been great because we have 30 plus horses, and it's a
Wow.
lot. So he comes like a few times a week and does a bunch at a time, and he's like, "Hey, I can't handle this, but this person can," and he'll even recommend other people for specific cases. So I feel like with vets too, they really want to help each other out. Just what I've seen, like they're willing to be like, "Hey, this isn't my specialty, but I can help you find someone." So relying on those experts, like you're saying too.
Yeah, and to your point, you've got a barn full of horses, so those farriers and veterinarians are almost incentivized to come out regularly or be there as
Mhm.
quickly as possible because that's, half a day or full days of work. But
Yeah.
if you've just got 1 or 2 horses, especially if you're in a more rural area, I can only imagine the challenges of, like, trying to get some of these people out when you need them
Mhm.
promptly. I know in that scenario, maybe you can form relationships with people, other horse owners in your area,
Mhm.
and try to, see if you all can schedule things or have the farrier come out and do all of your horses at once if he has similar clients. But, yeah, there's some challenges there, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, like when I was in Pennsylvania, we were in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. So we would call some other trainers that we knew in the area and they're like, "Oh, hey, like this farrier's here, like the vet's here. You could just bring your horse over if it was like that case of emergency or hauling to the local vet." But yeah, it was hard to get some of those vets and farriers out if there's only one horse that needs to be seen. But definitely connections.
Connections make a world of difference. Another thing to consider is your horse's dentist. Most A lot of veterinarians, that's part of their your annual exam. They do the dental work themselves, so no big deal there. Your veterinarian or the vet tech, depending on what state you're in, because there are different regulations, can take care of that. But I know there's some veterinarians will not do dental work. In fact, I had a vet who she was a surgeon as well, and she's like, "I'm not sticking my hands in that horse's mouth. They're too valuable." And so she actually recommended a veterinarian who did only dental work, and that's all he did. And so I had to also have multiple vets for that reason.
It's hard to find though, no? Like a vet that just does dentistry? I haven't opened that can of worms, so this is kind of an off-topic question for everyone. And Alex, kind of for you. How often are you supposed to get your horse's teeth done?
At least annually, if not twice a year. I think I always had my horses' teeth examined once a year, but if they've got dental issues, especially older horses, I mean, you should probably be having that dentist out a couple times, multiple times a year for sure. Another
Adding that to my list of things to do. I should probably get the dentist out for Shiloh.
like, oh yeah.
It's almost a year.
And then I think there are also some optional professionals that you might need to look into depending on your needs or your horse's needs, like a chiropractor. I've
Mhm.
had horses that have needed just regular chiropractor work just to feel good and to just, yeah, to feel good.
Serious question for everyone, and especially you too, Alex. When's the last time you saw a chiropractor? Because I don't think I've ever been.
Once in my life. I went once in my life
I could tell you I've had the chiropractor out about 3 times for Shiloh, and I'm like,
for your horse.
"Wow, that must be so nice," because he's just growing.
The things we do for our horses, but
Yeah.
never take care of ourselves. Yeah.
No, no, no. True horse ownership.
I personally, because I don't have a truck or trailer, I have always had to have somebody ship my horse for me, whether that's
Mhm.
a trainer or a friend with a trailer or even a professional shipper, like long distance shipping. I'll need to hire a professional shipper. So that's something to consider if you don't have a way to get your horse places, especially if you do have that veterinary emergency and you need to get to a clinic quickly. Make sure you have somebody on hand to ship your horse, somebody on backup to ship your horse if they can't, something like that.
Yeah.
What else? Who else is on my horse care team? Oh, a
Yes.
nutritionist.
Yeah. I was gonna say
I've worked
nutritionist.
with a nutritionist before for my horse. Again, not for myself, but for my horse.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I really
I
wanna
eat a
get
bunch of junk, but my horse has a great diet.
Shiloh's on more supplements than I could probably not that many, but he's on a bunch, and I'm like, "What's a supplement? I don't need that." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem. You can have it."
Those vitamins, what are those?
I would love, though, to get his hay tested. Like, I think it would be so interesting to
Yeah,
learn. I've seen a lot of people do it, or like you said, have a nutritionist come out and look at your horse, or if you have a few horses in your barn, and kind of find that perfect fit, because I feel like it's a good thing to know, especially if it's a new horse that you don't really have
especially
that
yes.
background context.
Yeah.
Definitely think that's something I wanna look into too. Don't worry, the list of what Shiloh needs is going on and on. My list has nothing on it, but I was also gonna say acupuncture. They do that for horses, no?
Yeah, and some of the vets or professionals that are trained in chiropractic will also do acupuncture,
Mhm,
get certified in both. So
mhm.
I know that I've had people come out and do both, offer both services, and that's really nice.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Is there any other that we're forgetting? Like, I'm thinking of, like, more common, not the most niche.
I mean, I would add trainers to that list if you wanna work with a trainer,
That's a good call.
which again, just, like, going through your, like, regional directories, breed directories, discipline directories, and finding in addition to just, good old Google and word of mouth,
Mhm.
and then just really interviewing them, going out to meet them, asking about their program, and making sure it's a good fit, because that's a great professional to have for any sort of advice.
Yeah. When you were looking for trainers in the past, was there one specific? I know you just listed off all that stuff, but one thing in particular that really drew you to one trainer that you were like, "This is something that's almost a standard now?"
I don't know. One of the things that I have always paid attention to is how happy are the clientele
Mhm.
and the horses, but, like, do they have long-term clients that have
Mhm.
been with them for years and years? And that is such a good sign instead of, like, constant turnover. And then asking, like, are you guys happy with this program and this trainer, and what's their teaching style? And so that's definitely a green flag for me.
Yeah, like, when I was looking, I took a few lessons with a few different trainers even before I bought Shiloh just to kinda see what the vibes were behind the scenes, I wanted to get to know the people like you're saying, I wanted to see the horse's quality, as in their coat, how they are, and I think that really helped me because it gave me a wider idea of what exactly I was looking for and not just going to the first one that I was like, "Oh, wow, this looks great from the outside," and then I was like, "Oh, I don't like the training style," or "I don't really like these horses don't look happy," or you know
That's
what
a
I'm saying?
huge indicator, yeah.
Like, you would walk through the barn, they were all pinning their ears or running to the back of the stalls, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
no, 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 we're
No,
not doing this."
we don't wanna do
But
this.
that's just something that personally worked for me, was just taking a few lessons and then
Yeah. And
because I
there's
feel like when
nothing
you're
wrong with
touring
trying it out. Yeah,
no, what's the worst saying? You take one lesson, it wasn't a fit. What's easier than moving your horse there for
exactly.
and then having to find out?
Well, if anybody else has members of their horse care teams that we didn't think of or they wanna share, you can add those in the comments on YouTube
Okay.
or shoot us an email at mynewhorse@equinenetwork.com, and we will see you next time.
See ya.